Dolo do jebe do jebe ge je gembe bardu jobra jebo to jege zu jebe ma gada nambe senjen tamje de wa da de da de da zobe chanju je to pra da la dang jebe jebe tarpa dan tamje gembe bardu jobra jebo tam jege se jebe mo kadam senjen tamje dewa dan de dunga dan de ne de lana me pa yang dan pra zobe chanju je tobra ja dala dangwa jebe da nobar jebe ge tarba da je gembe bardu chopra jeba tam jege se jebe kadam senjen dam je dewa da dunga dan de ne de lana me ba yang tabra zobe chanju je tobra che sama gege bardu longa yisum ge wala mashi bardu longa yisum ge wala go tere sonde ne ma sam da sam ge bardu longa yisum ge wala. Now page 5 at the bottom. Songye Judan Soge Jonam La Changju Bardu Dane Gyabzu Je Dagi Jinsu Gebe Sonang Ge Drola Penjir Sangye Dubrashu Sangye Judan Soge Jonam La Changju Bardu Dane Gyabzu Je Dagi Jinsu Gebe Sonang Ge Drola Penjir Sangye Dubrashu Sangye Judan Soge Jonam La Chancho bardo dane gyamsu je dage jinsu gebe sonange drola pencher sange drupra isho mono kada nyambe senchen tamje dewa dang dewe genda tempara gyurje dungyao dang ki gyudang drwa gyurji dunga mepe dewa dhamme drwa gyurji neren chadang nidang drwa tanyang la nabra gyurji kadang nyampe senchen tamche dewa dang dewe gyudang dambra gyurji dunga dang ki gyudang drwa gyurji Tungyal me pe dewa dang me dewa gyurji nering chadang nidang dewe tangyong la nepra gyurji ma nang kadang nyampe senchen tamje dewa dang dewe gyundang tempra gyurji Tungyal dang tungyal ki gyudang dewa gyurji Tungyal me pe dewa dang me dewa gyurji nering chadang nidang dewe Danyong la nepara gyurji Bajra samaja Bajra samaja Bajra samaja Semjen gungi gongyu jen dude bunje medze zomze lang onam malu jeshin gengyu rube chumden goje nedir sheshu zo Shpe dube aloge gende nevede shabda brade jason sashi boju jushin mendo tam rira menshi ninde gemba di sangye shingla binte bulwa ye jogo namda shindu jopara sho jase wadan jujin shabada jizu yirang kuzin sowa ye gewa chungse dagye jisakba tamche zobe janju jiringu Namo to the Guru, the complete purity of enlightenment. existence. I make offerings to you who manifest in the ground of phenomenal existence, and supplicate you for the total liberation of the three realms. Grant your blessings of dredging samsara from its very depths. Lord, which fulfilling gem, ornament of my crown, beyond word and expression is your victorious mind. Endowed with the five superior primordial wisdoms, epitome of love, the one with kindness, precious protector of wonder beings, I supplicate you in the innate state of my mind. Bless me in that state of suchness. Grant your blessings for realizing this primordially birthless and completely pristine mind as the Dharmakaya beyond thought. Now take a moment to let body and mind settle into their own places, settling naturally without interference. Get out of the way, but pay attention and let body settle into ease. Let mind settle into a quiet place, content and quiet. Then, in the midst of being settled, lightly savor, taste, experience the quiet mind. Savor, pay attention to the radiance of the mind as well. Radiant in all directions, and yet unmoving and settled. Unmoving and settled, yet not dim, but radiant and bright. So try to sensitize yourself to these two qualities of the mind. Get used to identifying them in your own mind, in your own heart. And finally, see them as inseparable, that one does not exist without the other, and that when you have one, necessarily you have the other. You can also bring attention to how your body is settled, scanning this body from the top of your head all the way down to your toes. sweeping awareness across this body, checking in with the 7 points of Vairochana and seeing that you are in the 7 points of Vairochana. Think of this body as holding up heaven and earth with your feet firmly pushing down on earth, with your head clearly holding up the heavens, and all of existence is held in this body. So that when we sit, we are holding up the heavens, we are stabilizing the earth, and all becomes well. At your own pace, without rushing, when you are ready, instantaneously, the 5 parts of Mahamudra comes together. Bodhicitta appearing magnificently in the form of the Idam, Guru held in the center of your heart. In the center of that is the Bindu, the door to liberation and freedom. And this Bindu move to the different places as necessary, as fitting. And do all of this, dedicating the fruits of this practice to the awakening of all beings without exception. Lower your gaze, but no need to close your eyes all the way. Please now look at the general laying aside text. Alas, great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas who reside in the 10 directions and 3 times. I, who am called Gonju Yishi Durje, supplicate you turn your awakened attention to me. From beginningless samsaric time until this very moment, under the power of the afflictive emotions, attachment, aggression, confusion, pride, and jealousy, I have committed the 10 non-virtuous actions. Through the gates of my body, speech, and mind, I have committed the 5 heinous crimes and the 5 secondary heinous crimes. I have transgressed the individual liberation vows, transgressed the precepts of Bodhisattvas, and transgressed the samayas of the great vehicle secret mantra. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards the 3 jewels. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my gurus and teachers. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my father and mother. I have been faithless and disrespectful towards my companions in the pure spiritual life. I have abandoned the sublime Dharma and disparaged the noble Sangha. In short, I now lay aside all faults and transgressions whatsoever that have become obstacles to the higher realms and to liberation, and that have become the cause for samsara and the lower realms. Before you, the great Guru Vajra holder, and all you Buddhas and Bodhisattvas of the 10 directions and 3 times, I expose the faults, I confess them, I am contrite, I regret them, I will not conceal them, I will not hide them, henceforth I will restrain myself and abstain from them. If I do not expose and lay them aside, they will not be transformed. Therefore, by revealing and laying them aside, may they be cleared, may I be purified. Nam. To the mandala of you, victorious Idam deities, I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Vajra exalted body. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the Padma exalted speech. I expose and confess the broken samayas of the perfect exalted mind. I expose and lay aside the broken root and branch samayas. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed knowingly. I expose and lay aside transgressions committed unknowingly. The 3 non-virtues of the body, the 4 non-virtues of speech, 3 non-virtues of the mind. I confess each of these non-virtues individually. With faultless disciplined conduct, possessing completely pure disciplined conduct, and through the disciplined conduct that is free of arrogance, may the paramita of disciplined conduct be perfected. To glorious Vajrasattva I pay homage. Om Vajra Sada Samaya Manupalaya Padasada Denoba Deda Deda Mebava Sudokaya Mebava Subokaya Mebava Anurata Mebo Sarvaside me baya jasavakama sujamajinam dhirapo. Manobalaya basasada denoma deta deno. Subogaya. Basarasada denoma deta. Zedawaya subogaya. Dedo me bawa sudogaya me bawa subogaya me bawa derodo me bawa zavasede me bawa javakama sujamajinam. Anurado me bawa zavasede me bawa javakama sujamajinam dhirapo. Anora dome boa sabasi de meja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru japa japa ma samaya sa do zara sado samaya manu. Anora dome boa sabasi de meja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru oh sabata kata kata japa japa ma samaya sa do ma do samaya manu. De dome boa su do ya me su bo sabasi de meja sabaka masu jame oh. Sabasi de me vaja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru hao bhagavan sabata kata kata me japa japa ma samaya sa do ma do samaya manu. Subogaya me boa nura do me boa sabasi de me vaja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru hao sabata kata kata me japa japa ma samaya sa do ma do samaya. De do me boa su do ga me boa sabasi de me vaja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru. De do me boa su do ga me boa subogaya me boa nura do me boa sabasi de me vaja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru hao sabata kata kata me. De do me boa su do ga me boa subogaya me boa nura do me boa sabasi de me vaja sabaka masu jame jam jam. De do me boa su do ga me boa subogaya me boa nura do me boa sabasi de me vaja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru. Sabata kata kata me japa japa. Subogaya me mo anura do me mo sabasi de me meja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru oh sabata kata kata. De do mo de do me mo su do ga me mo subogaya do me mo sabasi de me meja. Anura do me mo sabasi de me meja sabaka masu jame jam. Anura do me mo sabasi de me meja sabaka masu jame jam jam guru oh sabata kata kata me meja mo ma samaya sa do a bajra sa do samaya me do pala. Basra sa do de no ba de do me mo su do ga mo su bo me mo do me sabasi me. Bajra sa do samaya manu bala ya bajra do de no ba de me mo su do ga mo su bo me mo do. Sabasi de me ba ja sa ka ma su ja me janam janam guru oh sabata ranga de be sa mo me ja be mo samaya sa wa do a Bajra sa do samaya manu bala ya bajra sa do de no ba de do me mo su do ga me mo su bo ga me mo do be mo su bo se me ja Sawakarma sujame jidam sreyang guru hao bhagavan samata dakada besama mimicha bajre bhava mahasamaya sato. Please go back to Neonipa's text, page 50. So if you recall, actually page 46, yeah? So if you recall, it says that in the training for this natural state Mahamudra, the fourth component of these 5 parts, there is the part where it concerns training in formal meditation. And so on page 46, it says this has 2 parts, meditative equipoise. So that's referring to when we engage in formal meditation. And then post-meditative equipoise, so when you get up from the cushion. So the natural state Mahamudra has these 2 parts that we should train in. Then with regards to the meditative equipoise, again, there are 2 parts. First is to cultivate samadhi. So how to cultivate samadhi, and then followed by when the mind has some degree of samadhi, when the mind, the heart can be steady to some degree, then the deeper understanding of what mind is can be introduced, not in an intellectual way. So the more steady our mind has become, then the more likely we can be led into understanding something about the mind, which is called introducing the meaning. Then the other element that is emphasized in the Kagyupa tradition about this introducing the meaning is devotion to the Guru. It says that in the end, devotion to the Guru is the final final state of mind that will allow us to fully be introduced to the meaning. So to be introduced to the meaning, there are obviously layers of it, just as in cultivating samadhi, there are layers of it. So now we have only very superficially on the surface of this cultivating samadhi. We really need, to set aside, be determined to set aside, some time, lock your room and say, every day this time, everything else can just wait. And put aside, your these walking monks have coined a name for, the distractions, our lover. Now our immediate lover, all of us, is our phone. So put that aside, then all the things that can pull us away, just for this 1 hour, 1.5 hour, set aside, right? Put aside. We're not determined to put aside, then no amount of listening to the Dharma, doing this practice, doing that practice, will amount to much. So determination to be free, that leads to putting aside. Then putting aside so that you have the necessary condition for samadhi to deepen, to deepen, to deepen. So cultivating samadhi then according to here, it says, again, there are two parts. Cultivating samadhi by relying on signs, rely on some. Signs here means some characteristics, some. You can think of these two steps as, let's see, like you're learning skating, you know, skating, whether it's ice or roller blading. So with signs is kind of when you first start, you know, you tend to be on the where the guard, the metal rail is, you know, and you're learning how to, you know, get your balance, and so you're holding to the metal railing as you move around the skating rink, you know. So that's with signs. Without signs, yeah, is when you have a little bit more confidence now. Right? You know how the blades work. Right? You know how the wheels work. And then you have a little bit more confidence. Then you can let go. Then, of course, when you let go, chances are at the beginning you'll fall. But through falling, you know, right, you should gain more understanding and experience of how to get balance, how to move. So with and without signs, in that sense, you know, that relationship. Mm. For our purposes, you know, I don't think we need to say, oh, you have to fully master with signs and then to go to without signs. Of course, you know, if we're able to do that, great. But the reality of you and my life, you know, even to give 1 hour in the morning to do this becomes challenging. So then to wait until you can cultivate samadhi with signs until it's so strong. It says here, right, at the end of that section, it says, you know, by the mind being brought inside, whatever desired activities are accomplished. If we wait until that, you know, then this lifetime maybe will not have a chance to experience any of the training in samadhi without signs. So now, having said that, I think maybe still you need to be honest about this process. You know, you have to be honest about it, and then think maybe mostly I still need to do with signs. So holding the visualization of yourself as idam, then inside your heart is your guru, and inside guru's heart is the blue bindu. But the guru remains in the heart, but this blue bindu can drop down to the navel, become golden. And the guru doesn't drop down, just the bindu drop down. So then the yellow is also earth element. So then go down and stay and steady your mind there. Then if the mind becomes dull, heavy, and then raise the bindu, maybe back to the heart center or up to the throat. Red, now it's red. And if you need even more kind of brightness, come up to the crown center, white bindu. So train in familiarizing the bindus in the four places with the four colors. Stabilize that, stabilize that, stabilize that. Then, even within that instruction there, right, it says, from time to time during this, with signs, you can release the signs. Already you are getting a taste of signless way of cultivating samadhi. It says you just relax, release that visualization. Don't have to explicitly think and visualize yourself as idam. Don't have to explicitly keep the guru in the heart, the bindu, wherever the bindu is. Just let it. It says, right, on page 48, when a good state of steadying of samadhi arises from holding the bindu, relax in the natural state, not holding the object of focus, and rest for a little while. Loosen it, then tighten it with the visualization, with holding the bindu. Then loosen it, then tighten it, then loosen it. Loosen it, tightening. So to do this, to tighten and to loosen is to train your flexibility. So this is important, to train flexibility so that the method that you're using don't restrict you. Otherwise, if you don't have any, if you don't have experience tightening and loosening and tightening and loosening, then you are stuck in one or the other, Then again, there is blockage. You are kind of forced into only one state. So tightening, loosening. So when you tighten, which is holding that visualization and holding the bindu, wherever you hold the bindu, then when you feel a little exhausted, like too much focus, don't see it as a fault, but see it as, now is the chance to experience loosening. Then you loosen. In the initial moments of loosening, it's good. You will like that. Then you loosen, and then you find yourself, you catch yourself so loose until it's like, where did my mind go? Again, don't see that as a fault. See that as, now is your chance. Now is the chance to tighten. See it as opportunity, see it as blessing. Now is the time to tighten. Then you tighten again. Tightening, loosening, like this. Yeah. So then, without signs, on page 50, I want to introduce the words here. Second, meditation without signs. There are 4 parts to it, to be trained sequentially. First, abandoning thoughts of high and low, and instead to sustain a state of non-mentation. Then 2, with great diligence, sustaining a state of undistracted mindfulness. 3, relaxing without distraction in the meaning of non-mentation and sustaining. So the first 2 are kind of contrasting steps, and the third one is lessons learned from 1 and 2. Stay there, relax into that. And then 4th, sustaining a state free from tightness and looseness. So you can see, right, more explicitly here, that the goal is, train with tightening and loosening until you master both, and then you become free from either of them. Now, first, abandoning thoughts of high and low and sustaining a state of non-mentation. Non-mentation, for the time being, is a technical term. We'll look at that for sure. Non-mentation. Non-mentation is related to non-thought. Remember, we had this discussion about non-thought, and then borrowing an expression from the Zen tradition. The 6th ancestor of the Zen tradition in China, Huineng, he says, there are 2 ways of kind of dealing with the mind, with the heart. One way is called separating from thoughts. And the second way is understanding no thought. He says separating from thought is to see that thoughts as a problem, to see thoughts as real, and then using various methods to control thoughts, to keep thoughts away, to tie thought into one thought, and so on and so forth. So the usual methods that people associate with meditation. People think that's the goal of meditation, either to keep all thoughts like they are zombies or barbarians, to keep them out of the fort of your mind, or to tie them all up, make them one, and keep your eye on them so that they don't go loose and cause trouble. So that is called separating from thoughts. So the sixth ancestor, Huineng, says, that's an inferior way. You will never become free that way. Even if temporarily it can offer some much needed relief. But that will not ultimately solve the root problem. The root problem lies in not understanding that the nature of thoughts is emptiness. That only, so back to, right? Back to our non-conceptual mind. So same, non-mentation, non-conceptual mind, non-thought. These are synonyms, but given in different contexts. And each of these teachers have their favorite phrase. Gampopa uses the phrase ordinary mind. He wants to emphasize how natural this mind actually is, the mind of non-mentation, or the state of non-mentation, or non-thought, or non-conceptual mind. And sometimes these words become such big words, then we think it's something that we need to find and get from somewhere else. So then Gampopa deliberately uses Tamil Shepa, ordinary mind. Tamil, in fact, is in colloquial, in like spoken Tibetan and written Tibetan also it literally ordinary means even like mundane ordinary. Mundane ordinary. In the Chan Zen tradition also they have an expression like that. They call 平常心. 平常 is like ordinary. Ordinary mind, 平常心. The mind that is just ordinary. That means natural. All these are synonyms for the same understanding, right? So anyway, here it says, first assume the physical posture as above, meaning the 7 points of Vairochana. And then, now this is not easy, do not think of the past, present, or future. And you say, how? They don't tell you how. They just say, don't. But how? Well, you figure it out. The instruction has been given. You figure it out. So you struggle. What does it mean? Then it gives you a quote. To train or to cultivate, to train, right? Or the more usual translation is to meditate on the mind as non-existent. That is a fabrication. And then to meditate on the mind as existent, that is also a fabrication. And even to stay in the center in between those two positions, that's a fabrication. So this is a form of koan, like those famous Zen puzzles. But it's not a puzzle that you can solve with logic. It's to, like, you could say, throw a stink bomb in that room and run. Hmm? So you say, run where? You find out. Hmm? You throw this think bomb in the room and you see, run where? Then the next instruction, next line. Therefore, you're like, wait, therefore what? What therefore? Right? You say, I need more. No, that's it. Therefore, sustain a state of non-mentation, unstained by any view of high or low, good or bad. Right? So here you are supposed to sweep away all judgment. Oh, my mind is moving. Bad, low. Throw that away. Oh, my mind is so focused, so present. I can feel the stability. I can feel the brightness. Throw that away. So this is relinquishing. Drop that. Keep dropping. Drop until there's nothing to drop. And even that nothing, drop that. So it's said that the great Zen master that brought this form of Zen called Soto Zen from Japan. He went from Japan to China. He trained with his Chinese teacher. Then he came back to Japan, Dogen. It's said that famously Dogen had his enlightenment experience when, in the context of sitting very intensely, training with his teacher in their meditation retreat. Very intense meditation until finally he overheard his teacher giving an instruction to someone else. Very pithy, but strong instruction. Like drop both body and mind. Drop, let go of both body and mind. And then it said that in that moment it triggered something in Dogen. And so then he uses this phrase a lot, dropping both body and mind. So here, to think of mind as existing, drop that. To feel that mind is existing, drop that. To think that mind is non-existing, drop that. To think that it's in the middle, drop that. Past, present, future, drop that. What we label good, what we label bad, drop that and stay. Just stay there. Sustain a state of non-mentation. Now, if you think, I need to push away thoughts, realize that's not it. Drop that. Then you say, well, what am I supposed to do? Drop that. That drives you up the wall? Drop that. You may get to a point you say, I'm going to go back to my bindu now. So this is the experience of letting go of the railings on the side of your rink, your skating rink, and going out and going, I'm going to fall, and then people whizzing by, right? All these skaters, so gracefully, so without effort, and then usually it's the little kids, like zipping around you, and you are going, and go back to your bindu. I'm going to stay with my bindu. It's so comforting, this bindu. But now you can venture out a little bit to without signs, without guardrails, without something to hold on to. This is the first of the 4 parts of without signs. The goal is still to steady the heart. Remember that. But to get to this point of a deeper steadying of the heart, it will move you first. Don't be afraid of that movement. Don't be afraid of the movement. Okay? Actually, even not okay, what to say? Nothing else to say. Even not okay, that's it for today. On page 78. By the virtues collected in the three times by me and the entirety of samsara and nirvana, and by the innate root of virtues, may I and all sentient beings quickly attain the unsurpassed, perfect, complete, precious Bodhi. Changchu Sem Cho Rinpoche Ma Ge Ba Na Ge Gyu Che Ge Ba Nyam Ba Me Ba Go Ne Gong Du Bell Yu Shou. Okay. There is a hand raised. No? Okay. Phantom hand. Today, a lot of spirit activity, it seems. In Sometimes Zoom rooms get possessed, without reason. Sound gets turned on. Without reason, hands get raised. So sometimes these are the wandering spirits in the Zoom room. So anyway, bye bye.